Hello and welcome to Indie Attack. My name is Kelson.
And I'm Woody.
We are continuing along with our Speccy Game Jam week, and we're checking out The Accolade today. And this is a game by Juan J. Martinez, and his Twitter handle is @Rydrak. And this is an isometric dungeon crawler.
Yes.
With sort of an interesting little combat system, and you're sort of...
It's kind of reminiscent of like a roguelike a little bit.
Yeah, it has that vibe. This is one that had such a... I don't know, for some reason, some games just have instant lore feeling to them, and this one just felt like it just nailed that sense of a dungeon really well. You know, you're fighting bats and skeletons, and you're crawling along, and it has a really cool flavor to it that I think it had an identity that not all of the games in the competition necessarily had, but this one just like felt like boom, you're in a place and time, and you're spatially, it made sense. You know.
Yeah. And yeah, kind of how the game works is like you're in your little dungeon, and it's like we said, it's isometric, it's tile-based.
Yes.
And so every time you move a tile. Every time you move, your enemies move as well.
Right.
And there's no real attack, you just walk into enemies, and you will just auto-attack them.
Right.
Every, so often. There's a little bit of a timing thing to that. And, you kind of start off fighting bats, you eventually fight some skeletons and some more powerful undead.
Right, you have to
We don't necessarily know what you fight further on in the game, because it's really hard and we haven't gotten super far.
Right, it's hard, and I think what's really cool about this one, that this competition sort of illustrated to me, is that you can do these kinds of games, but with just a modern aesthetic, because you can really see this game being really slow. You can see, like, combat, click, click, click.
Yeah, if there was a menu system where you had to select your attacks in this, that would be pretty nightmarish.
Yeah, exactly. Or if it was like really, really turn-based. But what really succeeds for this game is the flexibility of movement, because sometimes this kind of game, I'm not a huge fan. I know you're not a huge fan either, Woody, necessarily.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of isometric, period.
Right, exactly. But what this succeeds in is it gives you a lot of speed. You're able to really navigate, and the controls are just so locked in that you know exactly what you're doing. It's not like wonky.
Yeah, this game, oddly enough, we complained about the control scheme of Cat Anna, which we played a
couple weeks ago. We were talking about that while we played this.
And this has the same control scheme. I like it way more here.
Yeah.
Because this is a tile-based game, so you have more time to kind of make sure you're getting to the right place. And, maybe it's just my inexperience with this genre that's making me say stuff like that. And it probably is to some degree.
Sure, of course.
But I like this way more than that. The movement feels way more natural, and even moving around really fast feels easier in this.
I just feel like it's an idea of just solid, responsive controls.
Yeah.
And it just really illustrates how you can do a style of game that is both old school and unique at the same time, and have it have a modern sensibility, and how all of that can coalesce. It doesn't have to be like one or the other. Like, old school doesn't have to be like dreary and dry and boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I like that the game, it's got this kind of grayscale color to it, and it's simplistic. I actually really like it. I think it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, it's one of the better. I think he spent some time on the art.
But getting to something I do have a bit of an issue with is as we said, this is very hard. And I think it's almost a little too hard. Now, we can maybe read more about this, and maybe this is something that came up, is that there's kind of a wall you hit in this, I feel like, where you unlock a little bit, and you get to this point, and it's like, boy, this is hard. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I'm not sure if I'm doing it the right way. But, I don't really know what kind of progression this game has, because it feels like you get to a point and you're fighting these undead enemies in there.
Yeah, and they just kill you real quick.
They just do so much damage, and you do so little, there's just no chance to fight them at all. Is that you should just be running away from them.
Yeah, I think that, to sort of speculate on just what would potentially be added in the future, I feel like the roguelike element could really be realized really well, sort of like getting armor, getting weapons, getting maybe even leveling, depending on how you want to go with that. But, just keeping it really still straightforward. But I think if there were just sort of more goals added, this game, it's like, I want to play more of this game, and I feel like that is a way, if you just add sort of a scaling, and not just have your character static.
I want to play more of this game.
Yeah.
And the problem is that I can't, because I hit this wall. Now, if I experiment for a while, and I really try to get through this, we'll probably figure out how to get through it, and, we're probably just missing something really simple because we're dumb. and
which is always a factor.
But it's kind of like it's a thing that sort of immediately turns me off to it.
Yeah,
it's like, boy, that's a wall to go up against, and I'm probably going to go try back and see if I can get a little bit more. It's one of those things where I feel like I need to beat it.
Right. Well, and it's like it's also one of those things where you see your logic in a game is you see enemies in a dungeon, you want to kill them. That's just the way it works. Yeah. And in this, you have to run away. Yeah. And the running away is quite challenging too because they really. It's actually
a really weird point because it actually seems it doesn't really seem there's a level up sort of thing in this game.
Yeah.
It seems like a better idea is to just run away from all the enemies than to fight them.
And we did have some success. Both of us got our kind of speed running down. And, maybe that's the intended, I haven't played, this says it's in the spirit of Rogue and other games, Hero Quest, Alien 8, these are things that and I've never played any of those games.
Yeah, Rogue is what roguelike comes
from. The OG, right. And so maybe that's a part of the genre to an extent. It's hard to say. We're not experts.
The brutal difficulty is definitely a part of the genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as you said, we're not experts on the genre, so we can't really comment on that too much.
Right, and we're just extrapolating on the genre right here.
We are shitty at this game, and we did not get far. We both still liked it.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's still a recommendation.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no. It is very difficult, but it is totally worth your time. And again, this is a complete game experience in a game jam for a ZX Spectrum game. So there's just a lot of respect that I have for this, and I would fully recommend it.